What's up YouTube, Scott the Car Guy here again with another video. I just picked up my JB4 from the post office after a little shipping snafu. It was supposed to arrive yesterday and they said they needed a shipping confirmation and I was at work so I missed it. But yeah, I'm going to walk you through all the different steps to install it and configure it with all the different maps and settings, and here we go. So I have all my tools set out. I just have like a power drill to speed up the screwing and unscrewing. I have the JB4 unit itself, all the connectors, and then I just have like a general toolkit for the different bolts. First thing you want to do, just for safety, is go into your trunk and you're going to remove this little panel here and access the battery. This is the ground line right here. And so actually in this little panel itself is a little mini toolkit with a 10 and a 13 mil. And so you're just gonna unscrew this, which I have already done, and we're going to lift that up and separate it from any contact with metal. Next step is to pop open the hood. These little rubber tabs that you undo. There's a tab right here and there's a tab right here. Remove that and then just set that aside. We're going to do the other side as well. Undo that. Undo that. Tab 1. Get in there. Tab 2. We'll set that there. So this is what we're going to be accessing. We just have to remove a few more panels before we're able to actually pop this open. So the next thing we want to do is take off this little plastic piece here. I have an 8mm socket. I believe there's 6. Now this one seems to be missing. 6 things we need to undo, and then there's these little tabs right here in the front. Set that right there. Next, we're going to remove this as well as this sensor and just put them to the side. So for this one, you don't pull out, you actually pull this up, and then right here you can see that kind of just pull it out and then pull up on these tabs. They have little teeth in the plastic, so you kind of just gotta yank them up, but be careful not to pull on the wires themselves. Same with this. Pop that one off. We'll pop that one off and set it right here. Next up, you're going to need a flat head screwdriver. There's 3 tabs in here that you're going to need to push down. This little hose right here. There we go. This next step, we're going to move this plastic piece after we just removed these two little things connecting to it. So there's 2 bolts. There's one right here, and then one on the opposite side right here. And again, it's just an 8mm. After those 2 bolts are taken out, I'm going to just grab it in the middle. So that's finally taken out. It was giving me some trouble because this trim was kind of like sticking and holding it in place. So just make sure that the reason why it's not coming out is this might be holding it back in place. So once we have access to the ECU, There's a few different things securing it in place. So this little thing right here on the back side, or I guess it's easier to see from this side, you simply push this black tab forwards like that. So I'll do it like this even though it's covered up. Okay, and then that popped up this side. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Okay, that loosens that up. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. I actually had to move this little rubber piece up a little bit, but pop that up, pop that up. No tools required. And then these two little things, this one goes that way, and this one goes that way. For easier access to the ECU, there's two tabs, one right here and one right over here. But just when you're pulling the ECU up, if you also pull that tab out, it will just come out much easier and cleaner. So once you have the ECU propped up like that, you're going to pull this slider out, and it's going to disconnect these cords from the ECU itself. You're going to do the same thing on this side. Simply pull that out, and it'll disconnect these two modules from the ECU. Then you're going to remove these sliders from the units themselves. That way these connectors will be able to completely slide out. So right here and right here are two little push pins. So you push them in, and then at the same time you pull that out, and then that removes the slider and then gives you full access to these connectors. Your next step is to connect the JB4 connectors to your ECU cables. It's pretty self-explanatory. Gray goes to gray. The big wide black one goes to the big wide black one, so on and so forth. Okay, so now I have all of the cables connected. One thing to remember is make sure that the arrows are pointing the same way. So this black arrow is pointing this way, and then if you look at that arrow, they're both pointing this way. And then just double check that they're all facing that way. Another thing to remember, and just like an easy trick, is if you see on the bottom of this unit and then at the top there's that little opening, you're just going to make sure that it connects on the same side that has that opening. So you don't necessarily have to rely on the arrows. So this has no opening on the bottom, and this has the opening on the top. So you're going to connect this top opening with this top opening. Next step is to connect these piggyback cables to these modules that connect to the ECU. So for this example, this is the wide one. So the wide one's going to have the black wide cable as well as the white shorter cable. And this is where the arrows really are useful, because the arrow is going to point to the inside of the unit like that. It's also easy to tell because this is going to be on the outside of the unit when you close it. Next, you want to remove this green connector from this little holder right here. So I unplugged this and just pulled this one up. Next, on this green connector, you're going to want to pop this open so that you can access the number 2 wire. You can tell it's number 2 because on here, on the connector, it says, so it's this wire right here, and so that's going to be this wire that's going to be on the top of the side that you pop off. So you remove this orange number 2 wire by pushing down inside of there. There's like a little metal tab, and then as you're pulling at the same time, and then you can pull this cable out. And there you have it, the number 2 cable. Then you're going to take the JB4 power wire and plug it into that number 2 slot, and then you're going to plug the number 2 wire that you just unplugged into this JB4 connector, this blue. So we have these 2 wires connected, so the number 2 slot and then this blue connected to the old cable connecting to the ECU. Now we just have to get these back onto the ECU, but first we're gonna have to put these sliders back in place. Okay, so we got the 2 modules back in. Just remember to push these plastic things in. So next step is to connect the JB4 unit itself, and then we'll fire it up, make sure everything runs, and then put everything back into place. So we've got everything in place. I've got the JB4 right here. Whenever I go to put the cover back on, I'll just kind of push everything down. So I'm going to reconnect the battery, and then we'll fire it up and make sure everything's good to go. The moment of truth. Okay, so it's got the gauge sweep, so something's working. Got a lot of stuff popping on I've never seen before. 4x4. Just gonna let it cruise here for a few minutes. So everything's working. It all seems to be in order. Just have to put all of this back on and remember how to put all that back on. I know it's working because I saw that the gauge sweep was on. I think by default it is on map 1. So I'm going to put it on map 5 just to auto tune, and then you know, just drive it around a little bit, break it in. I'll go drive and go fill it up with a tank of gas, and then you know, put a few, maybe 100 miles on it just to get everything working in. All right, got the ECU cover back on. It was kind of hard. I really just had to push it down, and then I put these tabs in first just to make it easier. This was the first one that I put in, and then I locked these in, just pushed it down and locked it in. But yeah, actually I was surprised that everything fit in there. I was thinking there's no way it's going to fit all these cables, but I guess this little bump right here helps you fit your JB4 in there.